In the crypto paradigm. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay. Living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks.
Alrighty, let's kick this thing off. Good morning from Paradise Surfers. My name is Crypto Amaru, joined as always by Nick the Crypto Hitman, and it is Tuesday, February 3rd. What a beautiful day to be alive, ladies and gentlemen. I know the market's still red, but I'm feeling hopeful. I'm feeling positive. I'm feeling a little bit bullish. It may be because the ISM has started to expand after years of contraction. It may be because we're at the forefront of a revolution between AI and crypto. Or maybe because the pool's Launchpad is going to be leading Launchpad season as we move into 2026. And we have a project to cover for you guys going on pools. We'll cover that at the end of the show here. But, I was feeling great this morning. Been on some calls, been busy. Looked at the charts, saw red. I'm like, come on, price. You got to get aligned with my emotions here. These two things are not matching up. Maybe we'll start with the charts today, but are we in for some more downside, or I was kind of hoping 75 was the bottom, and I look and see more red. What's going on?
We had a nice V-shaped recovery yesterday when we were going live. As we were going live, Crypto Paradise Pump was in full effect. Today, a little bit of a sell-off, but let's look at what the NASDAQ and stuff is doing today. That's, well, NASDAQ slightly red, nothing crazy. But it is interesting to see this kind of little bit of consolidation. Obviously, this isn't a big sell-off. Let's pull up the chart here. But, we do know that the crypto market structure bill had a big meeting yesterday. Apparently, it was about 2 hours. That's probably a good sign. There is also rumors that the secondary vote for the partial closure of the government passed, meaning that they're not going to be closing the government. So that's good. That's on the right track. A lot of things are on the right track, but I guess it's because nothing is finalized just yet. We talked about the ISM yesterday. More data on that has come out as well, which I think is positive for Bitcoin and markets. Again, we have seen a $4,000 rally off the lows, but it'd be nice to have some follow through here instead of slowing down this morning. But I guess, yesterday around this time we were going live. I think we were even a little late yesterday, and we did start getting those green candles. So maybe this is kind of the consolidation for the overnight action, and we lead into a morning action and get that run up towards $80,000, $81,000 again. That would be pretty nice to see here on the live show.
Yeah, when I look at the chart, it really doesn't look that bad. I think the worst is behind us. Although, look, some people are saying, hey, it's going to be, I'm looking to buy in at 72. I'm looking to buy in at 69. I don't know. Everyone has their different price targets. We'll see if those get hit. My hope is that it doesn't break down further because we do need some reprieve in the markets. If you're invested in alts, if you're running businesses in Web3, if you've got communities in Web3 looking to deploy capital and make gains, well, that's very, very hard to do when red. So let's pray for some green here, folks. I don't mind the chart now. Looking at it, consolidation seems to be in full effect. Don't love the prices, but let's see where things go over the next days and weeks.
Yeah, we got AJ Weston here saying good morning. We got Dovakin saying the theme song always makes me think a collab needs to be done with the Dirty Heads, so we need to check that out. Smash the like, share, and subscribe buttons as always, guys. And then Moonmutt, good morning, everyone. Always good to be here. If you want to have your chat live on air, then you need to go on YouTube. Otherwise, many of you are watching over on Twitter, which is good to see. Shout out to X and how easy that platform works. I wish their comments would
maybe some big Elon Musk news to cover. I'm sure you guys saw that XAI will be combined into SpaceX because the SpaceX IPO is going to be happening sometime this year. Massive valuation coming out of the gate for SpaceX. So good on everyone who stuck around the X platform and continue to build it out, because apparently they're getting stock options in this new sort of combined entity. But I think the bigger story around that IPO, and there's some other big IPOs coming this year, are these big IPOs signals that the masters of the universe are looking at the market and saying, we better exit this year because we think a big crash is coming. That is what happens now, guys. Market's pumping, market's doing well. You see a bunch of IPOs, insiders cashing out, dumping on us retail. Do you think that is the impetus behind the SpaceX IPO, some of these other IPOs? I think Anthropic maybe is doing something. Is it because they see the market topping out in 26, or they're just doing it because they're doing it and it's just they're doing it?
I don't know. I have no idea. Hopefully they're just doing it.
Well, so the reason I'm asking this, there's an account on X, pretty big guy. I think it's called No Limit, and he did a post the other day. He's like, I've sold 95% of my everything, and here's one of the reasons why. Because I'm seeing all these big companies doing their IPOs, and that's typically a top signal. Super rich insiders, they can predict the markets better than we can, whatever. So they're going to cash out when the market's hot, and then a crash will happen.
And I'm not going to say that that's incorrect, because we have seen that happen with Snapchat, but that was just a major overvaluation for Snapchat, not the overall market. We did see that for Coinbase. Coinbase did its pre-IPO, did its public IPO, and never really attained its IPO prices before Bitcoin crashed from 20 down. But it didn't mark the exact top on Bitcoin. It happened, the pre-IPO stage, and the IPO was actually before Bitcoin actually topped. So I'm not going to say that he's completely wrong there, but I did see that he sold like 95% of his stocks, but he's been selling all the way up on S&P 500, NASDAQ, and all this. That's what the big guys do very well, is they do consistently post. They do have some good, smart, intellectual points and make some gains, but they always are vague with their updated posts. Because he posts, hey, I've now sold 95% of my assets. S&P looks overheated, blah, 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 blah. But he doesn't talk about when he started selling the other 90%. That last sell could have been 5%. If you look at his history, he's like, oh, selling 10% here, 5% here, 12% here, 5%. And what has the market been doing? Up, 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 up. It's kind of like one of the mantras of the KOLs who always buy the dip. They buy the dip, buy every dip. Somehow they can buy every dip, and then when that's the actual major dip, the very bottom, then they can say, I bought the low, I bought the low. They don't tell you it was only with 1% of their money. They already bought the dip 99 other times, So I think that's the very big thing to keep in the right frame of mind, especially with that guy. Not to saying he hasn't made big calls, has a big following, but now he's 95% out, meaning he's been selling the entire way up.
Don't trust everything you see on the internet, guys. Hope you've learned that lesson by now. I don't know if I agree with selling selling all your assets seems crazy to me. How does he know, with any reasonable degree of certainty, that the prices are going to be lower ever? What if they never get lower than they are now on S&P? Why would you sell all of your stuff? I get selling some, market's overheated, taking some profit, getting out completely of your portfolio? I mean, you talk to any money manager out there, they tell you do not do that. Do not do that.
Well, I think the tough part is now in this scenario, in this situation, everything is elevated. So unless you're getting out of that and rotating into crypto and you have that asymmetric bet, maybe, but it's like, do you get out of that to go into fiat, which is still inflating away? What do you do when you get out, I guess, is the question that you're trying to ask there.
Exactly. And it's like, my assumption is that he's looking to buy back into the same. He's looking to buy back into S&P 500 after this big crash that he thinks coming. What if it never comes? I guess you're just buying back and higher. I mean, we've all guessed wrong on the market before, but I just don't think that's wise to sell your entire portfolio in the stock market. Crypto's different. Crypto's very volatile. You can kind of count on 20% corrections in crypto. It's going to happen at some point. Stock market, we may run to 7,500 on the S&P, and then the crash will be to 73, and you'll never get your entry below 7,000. That would feel pretty dumb if you missed out on that. So, any event, we won't belabor that point too much longer. We got AJ West in the house. Good to see you, bud. If we dump more, it needs to slow down so I have more funds. Yeah. AJ was buying every dip. You talk about these influencers buying everything. AJ was literally buying every dip. He'd come on the show and be like, bought that dip, bought that dip. Eventually, you do run out of dry powder, I assume.
Let's talk about some other news going on here. Who is buying the dip with AJ? Well, we see that $7 trillion banking giant UBS just disclosed buying another $800 million worth of MicroStrategy. So the MicroStrategy FUD about them having to sell all their Bitcoin if Bitcoin goes to 74K or 72K does not phase these guys, putting in more money into MSTR. MSTR is a big bet on Bitcoin, a big bet on software, AI, and on passive income generated based on Bitcoin holdings, and that's why they're choosing to go heavy into MicroStrategy versus Bitcoin spot itself. And more big news, Norway's largest pension fund has purchased another 13.5 million worth of MicroStrategy during this dip as well.
Yeah, Norway's pension fund, or their sovereign wealth fund, has been investing into MicroStrategy for a long time. So I guess they're doubling down their dollar cost averaging. They're getting their cost basis lower. Not surprised to see that. Happy for them. I think MSTR is going to be a big winner. But it's all, look, it's a proxy for Bitcoin. Bitcoin does bad. There goes strategy. Price go down. Price go up on Bitcoin. Hey, it's pumping again. So, nice proxy there. Good for you. I'm a believer in it. I see a lot of FUD around Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy. I think a lot of it's baseless. But, for me, I'd rather have the real thing, by the way. I don't own any strategy stock. I'd rather just own Bitcoin. But I'm sure there's people that have done hell. How well they do over the past 5 years, it's one of the best performing stocks.
That is very true, and we don't own any here currently, but we've been live on the show showing you this inverse Adam and Eve formation with the measured move down to where? Down to $134, and where are we at right now? $136 with a low of 135 and some change. So is it ironic that Norway is deciding to buy now, that UBS is deciding to buy now, and this happens to be the exact measured move back into previous support and breakout zone, measured move of this inverse head and shoulder, or this inverse Adam and Eve formation here, and right to the target we've been telling you to wait for all of this time. And what do you see? Bullish divergence on the RSI, bullish divergence on the technometer, and Bitcoin potentially putting in a major capitulation low. So again, I own no MicroStrategy here, but we've been having patience on this just like we had patience on Coinbase. If you are looking to buy MicroStrategy, it has now hit an actual measured move target that makes a lot of sense. Not to say it can't go lower, but buying here on all of these, lined up measured moves for TA, all this confluence for measured moves, all this confluence for imagery here, and then you also have UBS and Norway on your side. That looks like a recipe for a good buy zone, much better than buying up here at the double top of $454 per share. Now you're able to get it for $134 would be the exact measure move. And look at that, we just broke from 136 down to 135.50. So only $1.50 away per share from the measure move target that we've been sharing with you guys for months now.
Reminds me of that meme. Asset price $450. Everyone's lined up around the block. $150. There's two guys there waiting to buy. Same thing with Bitcoin. Same thing with strategy. Same thing with every asset. If you believe in something, it's funny. Bitcoin is still Bitcoin. Whether it's 126,000 or 77,000, it's still one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin. That's how I look at it. And it's going to $1 million in 10 years. So if you liked Bitcoin at 126, you should like it at 77. If you like strategy at 450, you should love it at 150. But you have the balls to get involved and buy the dip. That's the only question. And do you have any dry powder? I certainly do not have any left. I am fully in these markets. Haven't checked my portfolio since the big crash, my main portfolio anyway, since the crash over the weekend. I should probably do that. It's funny checking your portfolio. Painful at first, but then you do eventually get used to the new normal and you kind of come to terms with it. Maybe it's a grieving process. I don't know how psychologically someone should study that, but in any event, I got to check my portfolio. I don't own any strategy. I own a lot of Bitcoin, a lot of ETH. We're down bigly, but nothing we haven't been through before. I guess the question then becomes, is the ISM going to be the metric that saves us? Benjamin Cowan has a good point. I know you guys have been following this back and forth. Benjamin Cowan, known bear, TA guy, a lot of followers into the cryptoverse. He's kind of making fun of us bulls. He's like, first you guys hung your hat on M2 money supply. Then you hang your hat on this thing. Now you're hanging your hat on ISM expansion. And he goes into, there's a handful of cases where the ISM expansion in the early days of crypto was not correlated with the price or was inversely correlated. But the past three markets, I mean, the correlation is very, very strong. We finally get ISM above 50. I think yesterday it came out at 52. Does this spark the uptrend we've all been waiting on? Or is it just another thing we're hanging our hat on that's going to be a disappointment?
Well, I mean, we've been talking about the ISM and its importance in Bitcoin cycles now for probably a year and a half. And now it finally seems like it is coming to fruition. And remember, although we thought that Bitcoin would be higher here, we knew there would be a tug of war between the 4-year and 5-year cyclists. We were still hit a high of 126,000 in October before the liquidation crisis. And we were still looking at, hey, look, guys, we're above $100,000 Bitcoin. Ethereum is lagging, but back into the $4,000 range, only, a blow away from all-time highs for Ethereum. Pulse Chain was up 3, 4, 5x higher than here. Things were looking okay. Yes, we didn't have an alt season, but hey, ISM we have to look forward to. Lower interest rates we have to look forward to. QT ending and QE starting we have to look forward to. Clarity Act, stimulus checks, tax refunds, all those things we were looking forward to at higher prices. We're like, wow, things can really heat up. Now, obviously, the liquidity crisis has put us down in the doldrums here, but a lot of the macros that I just announced are still happening and are starting to happen right here, right now. We just had the Clarity Act movement have a big meeting yesterday. ISM starting to break up. New Fed chair announced some more interest rates will probably be coming, and let's see what happens with QE. So let's pull up this ISM post here, and I'll let you read it and see what your thoughts are.
Absolutely. Let's see. Here we go. The ISM manufacturing surge is back into expansion and signals green light for Bitcoin. We just printed a 52.6, crushing expectations. Massive upside surprise. Why it will keep rising in 26. And it goes in to talk about AI productivity gains, industrial policy, lower interest rates, so on and so forth. Yeah, what's interesting about the back and forth between the bulls and the bears on this ISM point, you can't look at ISM in a vacuum. Nothing's in a vacuum, by the way, right? Everything, all data points and source of information affect the markets. So you have to look at interest rates. You have to look at QE. Is there any QE coming or ongoing? You have to look at the political situation, pro-Bitcoin, anti-Bitcoin. There's a lot that goes into it. So to me, enough factors are lining up where the ISM is going to propel these markets forward and into a bull run. But it's not the ISM alone. It's everything that Nick mentioned. It's everything this post mentions. So to Benjamin Cowan, I mean, he has a tendency, I think, to look at things in isolation. And to be fair, he has been right a long time, or for at least a few times throughout this this market. But eventually the bulls will prevail, and I think the ISM is going to lead us higher along with lower rates, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I'm still staying bullish here. This correlation holds up. I firmly believe that, and let's continue to see some expansion.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about the ISM charts. Maybe if you're new, you haven't seen us do that. I don't want to take a deep dive today because we talked about ISM 2 days in a row. But it did call the Bitcoin top in 2013, 2017, 2021. And we have been in the doldrums as far as ISM consolidation for the longest period of time, really in history. And that's part of the reason why we were looking for a 5-year cycle rather than a 4. And the ISM proxy, many people were talking about the extended business cycle for ISM due to COVID and what was going on with the refinancing of debt back then, going from a 4-year to a 5-year term. This is also why Trump is really pushing on Powell to lower interest rates. Therefore, the United States could refinance their debt at lower rates versus higher rates to make it better for national debt and keep inflation lower. So it all plays together, and now we are finally seeing ISM, at least in the manufacturing area, beat expectations. And let's see if the ISM in all other areas continues to uptick as well. And yeah, I mean, you look at that chart, look at that correlation. Bitcoin is really outperforming the ISM so far these past couple of years, which is really crazy to see considering Bitcoin is really the only crypto asset that did anything. And now let's see if the ISM can catch up with Bitcoin and lead Bitcoin to new highs and allow the 5-year or 6-year super cycle believers to be correct once again.
One point that does make sense to me on the kind of bearish taker on the ISM is that ISM alone in isolation, if we just get expansion on the ISM but don't get lower rates, don't get any form of QE, whether Fed-based QE or Treasury-based QE or Trump-based QE, we get no QE, and we stay at these high rates, but the business cycle keeps on grinding higher, yeah, that's probably not going to be enough. You probably need two things to come together. Liquidity conditions to improve, aka lower rates, QE, plus ISM. So, we're still not out of the woods entirely, but if Trump gets his way, and if Kevin Warsh comes in and does what he's expected to do, lowering the rates, I think we're going to be fine. So,
yeah, and everything that you're mentioning is here in Donald Trump's Truth Social post here. ISM and PMI strong, that's what we were just talking about, which means America is producing against confidence is rising fast. But then he talks about Kevin will deliver rate cuts, which you said is important. So the new Fed chair coming in, inflation numbers from Truflation still going down. He has Kevin on his side, which if Powell decides not to cut rates the next 2 months, which he should, Kevin will be in there in May, hopefully, to cut rates. And then he also talks about the crypto market structure bill. They had a 2-hour meeting yesterday. Hopefully, we can get that signed before the end of Q1 2026. That would be big for regulation, money flowing into crypto, confidence in crypto. And if you pair that up, Q1 2026 Clarity Act signed. You got Kevin coming in May. Hopefully, Powell cuts rates due to deflationary activity going on the next couple months. That's how we get that QE. That's how we get the ISM, everything lining up to lead us higher. I know we've been saying that. 1010 really put a ruffle in those things, and the markets have been looking like shit for the past few months, leading the 4-year cyclists to think they have won so far with targets of $40,000 to $45,000 Bitcoin. Some of them even lower, around $29,000 to $32,000 Bitcoin is what the bears are looking for. Let's see what happens.
I saw a $10,000 prediction.
Jesus.
Plenty of, going to zero as well. Funny we never saw going to zero predictions when silver dumped by 40%, but never mind that. The clarity bill, I think, is very, very important here, and we got positive news coming out of the White House yesterday. Constructive discussions happening, looking at the finer details. It wasn't a fluff meeting as the press conference, or the press release, I should say, would lead you to believe anyway. So do you think we get this bill done, signed and done and dusted by, let's say, end of Feb?
I would hope so. I mean, I'm not really going to put a date on it because I don't know what their voting periods are for this stuff. I'm not really sure when they bring it in, what's the delay. I just really want it done by Q1 2026. Q1 2026 lines us up with everything that we need, having this done before we see QE, whether it's from the Fed and or the administration via tax rebates, tariff refunds, whatever it may be. So I just want the Clarity Act to be done before the QE starts, because that means then the QE has an outlet and regulation and clarity to get involved with crypto, rather than the Clarity Act chasing the QE and the interest rate cuts that are coming.
Yeah, not to mention, you do need it passed certainly well before November. Q1 I think is a reasonable target. Ideally, it gets done this month. I mean, there's a lot of energy behind it. Trump is not only tweeting about it, he's talking about it in his, he gets interviewed at the White House seemingly every single day, and he's talking about it. He talked about it just yesterday, right? Tweeting about it. They're meeting about it. Both sides are finally coming together. Like, can we get this thing done? Let's hope it gets done. And then, that's another another headwind that'll have shifted into a tailwind.
Yeah, and the potential timing for UBS we talked about, the potential timing for Norway we talked about, and the potential timing for this to get approved and Trump to look good. Last 5 times Bitcoin RSI hit this low, Bitcoin went up 100%. Is $180,000 Bitcoin incoming? Are these oversold levels a major capitulation that got the 4-year cyclist excited and will leave them holding a bag of fiat as Bitcoin moves higher?
Wouldn't that be great? I mean, 180 is kind of my base case for the top of this cycle. I don't think it was 126. I think it's at least 180. Maybe even 200. You start to get into bull case, you get to the next target of 244. But let's just say base case 180. The challenge, I think, is, man, there's so much manipulation happening because of, I guess, perpetuals and what's happening on in the leverage markets. Every time, it looks like we're going to get a solid move up, we get crushed and we're manipulated back down. And it's just, we can't catch a break. At what point does, maybe we need new retail or new institutions or just enough of these leverage traders washed out so that we can kind of get out of the chop that we had been seeing, and we can get a meaningful uptrend. We haven't had a meaningful uptrend in a long, long time. I don't know what to blame it on, but maybe we'll just blame it on CZ and keep it moving.
It's crazy. You know, we had this $80,000 low months ago, and then we ran back to $98,000 on Bitcoin, and not a straight up, straight down green candle. A nice grind for a month and a half, good consolidation. We had the breakout to 98K. Everything was looking good. And then remember, that was the Greenland FUD, the European FUD, and the next leg from silver and gold that sent Bitcoin down here where it is, 77,000. So although prices can, recover and go up, and momentum and morale starts to shift really fast, we need to have follow through to the upside rather than quickly letting those gains turn around, and then all momentum and morale is back to the downside, and we keep trending lower. Again, we talk about the macros that can help that. We talk about the catch-up trade that can help that. There's a lot of things that can help that, but maybe we are doom and gloom, and this is the 4-year cycle playing out again, and we're just heading lower for Bitcoin. I don't believe that, but it sure feels like it at times as we see, the rally from 98K, a little bit of macros in the globe, a little bit of gold run, and Bitcoin back to $77,000.
At what point do you have to say the 4-year cycle's still a thing? It has to break down further, right? It's got to get 40, 50. You got to get that 70% correction, I think, off the high, because that would really align it with prior bear markets and post halving year, bear markets. So I don't think we get there. I don't know what's gonna. I mean, I guess you would have a lot of whales selling in coordination to and people just giving up on the market for it to get there. But thus far the bears have been right for the past 4 months.
That is correct. The bears thought that the bull market wasn't going to send new all-time highs on Bitcoin. We got there. And then we did have that surge from 80,000 to 116 they weren't looking for. The surge from 80,000 to 98 they weren't looking for. They changed their objectives. Remember, they were saying 40,000, and when we ran to 98, they're like, well, maybe 110 first, then 40. So, they had their moments of being spooked, but the bears have been right so far. And this is kind of who a lot of people are blaming for the downward pressure, Binance. And now Binance is experiencing a withdrawal crisis, not in a withdrawal crisis in the form of, oh my God, crypto market's collapsing, but withdrawal crisis as in, oh my God, they're pulling funds, putting it into their own DeFi wallets, moving it to Coinbase, taking it to Kraken or these other exchanges, because people are starting to believe the FUD and not liking what they're seeing out of CZ and other influential people over at Binance. Pretty crazy how momentum shifts. Binance was the darling. BNB was ripping, outperforming even Bitcoin. CZ was manipulating, creating meme coin cycles, creating culture, creating momentum. And then before you know it, 1010 happened. Info's coming out, and now people are back to hating CZ once again.
I'm seeing suggestion that this is like an FTX 2.0. I do not believe that for 1 second. It is well proven that Binance has the funds to cover withdrawals. It has emergency funds. It's got a lot of money. And CZ has a lot of his own money.
They just deployed $100 million into Bitcoin yesterday and have $900 million more cash to buy Bitcoin. So yeah, I don't think it's an FTX 2.0 either.
No, not an FTX 2.0, but I think overall actually is good. We've been saying for a long time, you shouldn't hold your money on exchanges. I'm so surprised that the amount of people that still do that. It's kind of mind-boggling, honestly. There's so many self-custody methods out there which are far superior and less risky to trusting a centralized exchange such as Binance, which, frankly, has done enough to lose your trust, haven't they, at this point? I'm not saying they're run off with your money, but I mean, there's plenty of horror stories. People getting liquidated, et cetera, over there. And now apparently they paused withdrawals. Hopefully they open them up again soon. So not the best to see, but man, get your money off the exchange. I don't care if it's Binance, Coinbase. I don't care. Get your money off. Self-custody, guys. Like, what are we doing? It's 2026.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of CZ for a very long time because we made a lot of money on BNB and BNB Chain. But if more and more of this information continues to come out about them being a main reason for the 1010 liquidity crisis that has sent Bitcoin prices, Ethereum prices, and all crypto market prices where they are, it's hard to continue to root for them at this very moment in time because that seems to be the case. And, that's affecting our business, that affects our community's portfolios, that affects our portfolios, and that really affects the upside objectives of the predictions that we had. Remember, We were at all-time highs before the liquidity crisis. Where would we be if there wasn't a liquidity crisis? Yes, there would still be Greenland FUD and everything else, but would Bitcoin have been seen as an outlet to protect against all the global uncertainty? With Bitcoin at 100 to 126,000, there's a much higher chance that it does catch a bid as a, hedge against global uncertainty rather than all the money flowing to gold and silver. But it's much easier for people to choose gold and silver when Bitcoin fell from 126 to 85 due to a liquidity crisis right before all the other global macros fell into place.
That's a really good point that I don't think enough people have made, which is the price affects the narrative and the belief and the conviction among market participants. And would we have been able to continue the kind of that safe haven narrative around Bitcoin if 1010 hadn't happened? That's a really good point. Probably, but that's not the reality that we live in. Our version of the Matrix, we got to crash. We got 1010, and we got to deal with it, just like we've dealt with every other crash and bearish period in crypto. So it's something we haven't been through before, frustrating as it all is. I don't know if I'm, I try to see the world in shades of gray rather than black and white as I get older, especially. And so my gut feeling is that 1010 wasn't the result of a single actor or a single, let's call it like system malfunction. That may have played a role. That I'm sure was a part of it. The depegging of that stable coin in Binance, I'm sure that's a part of it too. Market makers' actions, a part of it. A lot of leverage. How much of that run to 126 was just based on leverage, not spot buying? And then that's very easy to unwind. So, I think 1010 was probably a bit more complex than CZ stole your money, bro. But they played a role in it. There's no doubt about it. So, hopefully they can make right. I'd love to see them. Let's up that pledge where they were pledging it's 1 billion worth of Bitcoin they're buying. Let's up that to 2.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Let's
get the news that they're deploying another 100 million today and buy the dip once again. 100 million on every red day, and let's see if that helps us out because they can only do that like 10 times. But at some point, maybe the momentum will help us out and dig out of these trenches here. We do see here the proliferation of AI agents will lead to an explosion of crypto use. 2026 is the year that process starts and more people spin up their own AI agents. Yes, you can tell your AI agent to use PayPal or your credit card, but it'll be 10x easier for it to just directly call an API or pay another agent to do something for you. Instant settlement, suitable for small payments, and no taxes. Further, agentic AI and bots will eventually replace almost all direct human interaction with wallets and blockchains. It will eventually make few to no mistakes and will execute things more reliably than you can by hand. I don't know if I love this take. Look, AI is very beneficial, I think, in terms of risk on assets. I think it does bring some benefits and narratives to crypto and blockchain technology. But I don't know how quickly that we're all going to be spinning up AI agents, and or if we spin up AI agents that they're actually, how long is it going to take before they are safer than you doing things yourself? A lot of people have been using trading bots in crypto since 2019 and forward, and they usually do great. Oh my gosh, it's trading on its own. It's making me money. Until it literally blows up and gets completely drained and you go to zero. So I don't know how quickly this actually becomes a reality, but I do think AI in general is good for risk on assets in crypto. I just don't know how quickly it will be AI agents being used by us on a daily basis to actually trust to interact with all of our crypto.
I mean, it's like any technology. There's going to be early adopters. People are willing to take that risk to experiment with this new technology and see what happens. I'm sure some people will get wrecked and destroyed, and some people will do well, but it'll lay the groundwork for the next group to come in once the product market fit is a little bit more honed in. I do think this is a bigger long-term story than maybe people want to believe right now. Because can't you envision a world where people set up these AI agents to do tasks on your behalf? Could be many are going to be financially related. They're gonna need to buy something for you. I suppose you could, upload your credit card information. They have your credit card, but won't it be easier if they're doing everything on chain? Faster, easier, cheaper. And what we've seen now with the launch of this Molt book, forgot the name of the exact product. It's really cool product that just launched like a week ago. It's gotten tremendous traction and attention. Humans aren't allowed there. It's like a Reddit for only AI agents. Humans can't post there. Only AI. You can train your AI and then like deploy it within the program. It'll start doing things for you within there. And there's been some interesting experiments where people have said, okay, AI agent, like set up trading platform, start trading my Bitcoin and also build a community and pay people in Bitcoin, pay the other agents in Bitcoin. Here's $100 worth of Bitcoin. You send it to the agent's wallet, and he starts doing all this shit. And he like builds a whole community. He's paying out other agents in Bitcoin. I mean, the crazy shit. And again, humans can't even interact once it's deployed into the Molt book or whatever. So very interesting stuff. I think we could get to a point where, yeah, I mean, we all have our own agents. They're doing different things for us. Some of those things are going to require financial transactions, and the chosen method is going to be a blockchain. Do I think this is happening tomorrow? No. 5 years from now, we can't have. Who thought that ChatGPT was going to take over our lives in 3 years? AI moves fast as shit. Okay.
Yeah, they just announced, Grok, whatever the update is, just happened, and now you can do 10-second video prompts already. It seems like Elon Musk with Grok has updates every week now, so things are accelerating.
And the crazy thing too with this AI is that the AI is now writing the code to build out more AI and just improve upon itself. Like apparently Claude's most recent update the code was written by Claude. This is some fucking science fiction shit, guys. And if you think that the world can't dramatically change in a 5-year period, you just haven't been paying attention.
I guess now is a good time to break over to PoolX and their new token that they're launching over on Pool's Launchpad. Haven't been talking about Launchpad in quite a while, but we did start talking about it with the partnership we had with Pools at the low. And we'll talk about that token first and then what they got going on the Launchpad that's sending the token price higher. This is when we announced the partnership with Pools in Crypto Paradise. Yesterday, we said that the token PoolX was up 42% since that announcement. And what do you know? It's up another 10.4% in the past 24 hours, leading into kind of the first Launchpad they've had in quite a while. Market conditions still pretty shitty. This token and the token economics look pretty good. You do have a 24-hour refund policy, which is helpful. I mean, do you think that the market cycle is ready for IDOs again, or do you think this is kind of an experiment to see if launches will work? And another project we've been working with, not through Pools, Quant's token is supposed to be launching here in 2 days as well. I guess they're betting big on the Ethereum, the BNB, and the Solana capitulation lows being in, and that we're at the start of the next move higher.
What's been interesting is that the trenches have still had runners. You've still had projects doing 5, 10x, 100x's even. Now, obviously, it's few and far between, but it's not unheard of. So the market has evolved a lot, I think. Bitcoin's price doesn't really affect the trenches as much as you might imagine. Now, Solana's price probably more so. Ethereum's price more so. But Bitcoin's price matters less. So you can have opportunities in these low-cap gems, these new altcoins that get some hype, good token economics, catch a bid, good community, product market fit, whatever, some utility for the token. You can get some runners in the trenches if those stars align, irrespective of what's happening with the price of Bitcoin. That's my opinion anyway, having observed the market and seeing. I mean, you can look at the top performers on Dex Screener. There's runners. Every day there's runners, guys. Greed doesn't really go away just because Bitcoin price went down. So I think we're going to be fine. Now, is any one project guaranteed to do well? Of course not. But what I like about Pools and their refundable IDO model, you can invest into the public sale round of the project, and we'll talk about Chimpex in a second. And you have a 24-hour window after the token launches to decide whether you want to keep your investment in that project, get those tokens, let it ride, or, you know what, price doing badly, they botched the launch, bad sex launch, any number of things can go wrong during a launch. So you know what? Going to pull my investment, get a refund, no questions asked, and save my capital for the next. So I don't want to say risk-free. I don't like saying risk-free because it's still not risk-free. Nothing's risk-free. But greatly reduces the risk, and it means that you can kind of bet on whether, hey, maybe the market has bottomed out and we're heading up here, and a project like ChimpX can do very well.
Yeah, and here's the ChimpX project on BNB. I guess I'll give them the follow. 35,000 followers. This is their Twitter handle if you want to check it out. You can see all the investment information over on Pool's Launchpad, of course. And we'll see what kind of raise it does, and we'll see what's going to happen with the launch of this one coming very soon. And here's kind of the token economic breakdown. Total supply is 20 million Chimp tokens. Initial market cap at TGE, $1 million. Fully diluted market cap at TGE, $7 million. And I believe the round in which you can invest in the public round has like a 3-month vesting schedule, which is very short. But again, these are kind of bear market valuations, bear market token economics. Because why? Well, we're kind of in a bear market if you're looking at Ethereum price at $2,300 and BNB 50% off the all-time high.
Yeah, I like these token economics, and shout out to the team for updating them, actually, because when we first started talking to them, these valuations, I believe, were higher. And the vesting may have been longer, too. And then they kind of went back to the drawing board, and I think came to the conclusion you just came to as well, which is, hey, we're in a bear market. Investors are going to need more upside. They're going to need more incentive to take that risk to invest. I'm sure there's still risk to investing in anything, but I much prefer investing in a ChimpX, which, by the way, has a working product, has thousands of users. We'll get into the product in a second. Token utility on day one. It has all those things, and now greatly reduced valuation at a $7 million and a decent amount given at launch, I believe 20% of TG. So pretty good token economics. I mean, you really can't complain about these. I don't know if you have much more to say.
Yeah, I think token economic-wise, this is really the most that you could hope for. The problem is the market ready? Is there liquidity there? Is there post-market demand and launch demand? We shall see. We'll see what happens. The nice thing about doing it through pools is you do have that 24-hour refundable window, so you can decide, hey, do I want a full refund, or do I want to take a gamble and take my 20% of my tokens, and I'll get the rest of my tokens over the course of 3 months and see what happens 3 months moving forward. Is Ethereum actually bottomed out? Will Chimp catch that wave of liquidity expansion from BNB, Solana, and Ethereum? We shall see. So far, so good. It looks like PoolX has, like we said, gone up 52% since the announcement of our partnership, and that is because people are buying into PoolX, maybe because of our partnership, and maybe because they want to invest in Chimp. So that's a good sign. We'll see what happens. Obviously, Ethereum and Bitcoin price really dictates how these launches go as well, to at least make them easier. And right now, Ethereum is up to $300 off the low, but still sitting here at $2,300.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the ChimpX product too, right? Because I think, look, if you're investing in anything, you have to be bullish about the product, the team. You should like the project. Don't just invest because it came on somewhere and you saw it and you're, oh, I should invest in everything. No, have some conviction behind it. And if you don't like it, then pass. Fully believe that. But what I like about ChimpX, these super DApp type projects where you can stake, bridge, you can do all sorts, DeFi swap, everything. They are very popular within crypto. There isn't a big one yet on BSC, and these guys are kind of cornering that market. They want to be on sort of the premier one on BNB chain. But if you look at some of their competition, there was one we invested in the last bull run called D.Fi. I mean, they launched it like, 400 million valuation, 400 million FTB. I don't know what they're sitting at now. At least 100 mil would be my guess, if not higher. So now you have the opportunity to invest in kind of the next version of this unique value proposition in as much as all transactions are gasless. That's what's very unique about ChimpX. You do not need to pay a gas fee. The gas fee gets taken care of behind the scenes. A little bit extra fee is tacked on to your swap or whatever transaction you're doing, and then that covers the gas. But you don't need to actually pay explicitly for gas, which is pretty sweet. Sitting at a 7 million FTV at launch. I don't know. I like it. I'm bullish on it. I like the team. They're nimble. They have a pretty big marketing campaign planned for around launch. They mentioned there's many influencers going to do a big PR push. So I mean, they really are doing everything they can. But like anything, it's going to come down to some factors outside of your control. But hey, I like live product. They got about 10,000 users already on the platform. Good marketing campaign set up. Team that's nimble and can evolve and do something like change token economics to improve them. The sector's a well-known sector where people, oh wow, is that a demo or are you doing all that?
This is their demo.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
I'm not going that fast.
Yeah, what's going on here? So a lot to like.
It looks like we talk about AI agents, and it almost looks like they have an AI agent built within that thing because they were doing a copy and paste prompt, and that's what was causing it to do the buys, $20 buys at a time of whatever asset they were buying there. So pretty interesting as well because we were talking about AI agents, and that big influencer was talking about AI agents really catching on, and it looks like they do have some AI related prompts within their system.
Yeah, what I like too about them is they seem to be builders at heart. And by that I mean it looks like they're trying to improve and add features to the app all the time. They just did a poll, what features should we be adding? Community responded, prediction markets was what they wanted to go for, and so now they're building out a prediction market feature on their product. Kind of reminds me like a Chain GPT. Remember we invested in Chain GPT? I think they just were like initially started as kind of a crypto version of ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It was kind of a meh. I remember hearing the pitch from the founder, and I was thinking to myself, like, no one's going to use that. No one's going to use the crypto version of ChatGPT. They'll just go to ChatGPT. And lo and behold, they launch, and they're like, you know what? No, we're going to build this. We're going to build this Launchpad. Now we're going to build this. Now we're going to build that. And they just kept building shit. Builder's mindset, and eventually, one of their products, I mean, the biggest one, obviously, their Launchpad, got caught on product market fit, blew up, a lot of users, and eventually got listed on Binance. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be guaranteed anything for Chimpex or any other project, but I like that builder's mindset. Looks like they're building prediction markets. Shout out to those guys. How does one get involved? Let's talk about how one gets involved into the sale if they want to get involved on pools. I believe. Let me just pull up some facts and figures because you can get an allocation into Chimpex and any other pools launch with 250 pools tokens, which is like pennies. I don't even know how much that costs. It's like not a lot. Well, it costs like $50, right?
Yeah, like 20. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So, but that's going to get you.
Maybe.
Yeah, $5. So that's going to get you a $35 allocation. So you're not a whale status. You got into that tier, but it's good. It's good to give people options. You got that tier. To get into like the legit, if you want like a legit allocation, $500 allocation, for example, you're looking at getting about 3,500 pools tokens. Still not a lot. You want to get into the big allocations, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. You got to get into the pools council. That's going to require 20,000 pools tokens.
3,500 PoolX at current price is still only $35.
There you go.
20,000 PoolX at current price is $200.
No, I don't think that's right. I think it's like $1,500. But
because 10 cents. Yeah, so it's $2,000.
Yeah,
20,000 tokens. Yeah.
So it's like $500 to get into like the one that's going to get you $500 allocation. Cost you $2,000 to get into the council, and that gets you basically you get a couple $1,000, $5,000 allocation that's available to the GC council members. And pools is only sitting at a 500K or maybe 600K market cap now. I think you can get to 10 million and beyond, assuming we enter into a bull run at some point. Who remembers like how crazy things got for launch pads back in the last bull run? I mean, the pools token, I remember at one point was worth like $8. And now it's like what?
10 cents.
10 cents. So not bad upside if it hits all-time high. Not saying it will get back to those heady heights, but even if it gets a fraction of that, I mean, again, my conservative aim for the Pool X token this bull run is 10 million market cap. We can surely get back there.
Which is about an 18x from current price.
Not bad. It's going to take effort. It's going to take work. But hey, you get a couple big launches that come out of the pad, right? Word spreads quick. You get 100x. Imagine ChipX does 100x out of the blue. Wow, oh my God, no one saw that coming. 100x. You don't think people in the market find out about these things? And they're like, I want the next 100x. How do I get it? Oh, refundable? Nice, great. Cool, they're active again. Things are looking good. A lot of high trust, good reputation. Pools launched in 2020, right? So, it's been around a long time. 10 million market cap. I think we can get back there, Nick.
Yeah, we'll see how this one goes. Obviously, now, why would you want to be rooting for pools or PoolX? First of all, it gives you another option. Rather than early seed investments, you can get refundable public investments. But secondly, Crypto Paradise now has a tie to it. So if Pools does well, if PoolX does well, Crypto Paradise gets more funding, gets more gains, gets bigger. And what happens with that? A percentage of that is going to get put over into the Surf token. It's going to get put into Pulse Chain. It's going to get it put into vacations, meetups, giveaways, events, whatever it may be. So that's why you should be rooting for Pools whether you get involved or not. That's why you should be rooting for PoolX whether you get involved or not, is because that means future revenue, future income, which leads to future buys and burns of the Surf token, future bridges into Pulse Chain, and future activities from Crypto Paradise.
I'll add this as well. For anyone who saw the token economics, 7 million FDV, little expensive for my blood. I'm kind of more interested in that seed round. They have a seed round. They have, I believe, a 4 million FDV, if I'm not mistaken. They have offered an allocation to Crypto Paradise and our DAO members to come into the seed round of ChipX. If you're willing to take a little bit more risk, not refundable, obviously, you're going to have to invest a little bit, sooner, not as close in time to the actual launch of the token. But if you're interested in bigger upside, seed rounds, that's where Crypto Paradise DAO comes in, and that's what we specialize in Crypto Paradise. So it all kind of works together. Pools, you got the public round, take a little bit less risk, refundable option. A little bit more risk, you want to come to the seed, you can do that through Crypto Paradise DAO, get yourself 200,000 Surf tokens, you can get in there. So I know, by the way, there was already a guy who reached out to me wanting this. He's like, I like this project, but I want into the seed round. Okay.
Go buy 200,000 Surf, get some money to Pulse Chain, and now you can do it.
Exactly. So shout out to Pools. ChipX, looking forward to seeing what those guys can do. We'll be talking about them a bit more here on the stream as time goes by. Give you guys some status updates, etc., as they drop some notable news, partnerships, token launch information, things of that nature. What else we got today? Anything else before we wrap up?
I think that's all today, but tomorrow we need to add Quants to the list because I think they're supposed to be launching February 5th. This is a project that we invested in the very early rounds. We also got in recently in the public rounds via the Surf DAO, and they do have a marketing deal with Crypto Paradise. So we're definitely going to be talking about Quants because we have investment in it in multiple rounds from the Surf DAO, also from the old DAO. And then we do have relationships with their founder, in which Crypto Paradise does have upside if the token does well, which we think it will. So we'll definitely be talking about them pre-launch tomorrow. Hopefully we get some more information. I know we pinged them in Telegram yesterday. And we'll keep you guys informed on the opportunity there, whether you're already invested in one of the 2 rounds we bring you, whether you're just a Crypto Paradise community member and you want to amplify their message to get Crypto Paradise tokens to go up in value, and hopefully that brings more value to Surf and Pulse Chain, or whether you want to utilize their platform to get some hands-off yield generation from their AI investment pools. So a lot of opportunity there as well, and I'm sure we'll talk about that more tomorrow.
Yeah, man, excited for Quants. What a journey with those guys. Shout out to Michael, his team. They've been great. I mean, it's been really challenging waiting for our investment to sort of unlock there. We invested, I think, over a year ago. But looks like the time is, right nearly upon us. I think they're launching on the 5th. So we'll cover that a little bit more on the stream tomorrow. That's what I'm saying, Launchpad season, pre-sale season. Let's get it back. Let's make it happen, guys. It's going to take a little bit more, we'll take a little bit more risk. But hey, I know a lot of you guys are not just in it to see Bitcoin go up, 2x over a year. As exciting as that is for me. For most people, they want those 100x. I prefer the 100x's too, to be fair. But that's what we need to see. We need to see 100x's. We need to see trench activity. Yes, we might get wrecked. There might be bodies strewn along the way. But that's how you get to glory, folks. That's how you get to glory. So we'll monitor everything for you guys. Fingers crossed that ETH, Solana bottomed out. I still think Solana under $100 was crazy to see. I think we're above 100 now. ETH at 22,000. My goodness, or 2,200. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Hurts. I'm gonna look at my portfolio now, guys. I'll let you know how I fare. I might end up in the hospital again. I might have to go to the doctor. I was at the doctor, so I might have to go back to the doctor after I look at my portfolio. I'll let you guys know. So, all right, folks, good stuff today. Appreciate everyone who jumped into the stream. We'll be back tomorrow with another one. And until then.